They don't ask where you are from when they judge you, they just see black. So why are we the ones trying to divide ourselves? Let's talk about it.
Hi lovelies, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda Stranad and here is Belinda Verse. Don't forget to please subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so that anytime I upload video, you will be the first person to be notified. To my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos, leave commentaries and also educate each and every one of us. You guys are the real MVP. So lovelies, let's dive in today's videos and we're just going to come back to talk about it.
Foundational Black American. I did not know what that was, so I went to go look it up. And when I looked it up, I just thought it was people that were born here that are descendants of enslaved people. They're calling themselves Foundational Black Americans, which to me was nothing. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool, because I'm Haitian American. So it's like, all right, cool. You know, you guys are just making sure y'all know, like, y'all let people know that your families are the descendants of enslaved people. But then I'm starting to see some comments in my fucking comment section that's really starting to irritate me. People are trying to come at me because I am not a foundational Black American. What the fuck? That shit is weird. At the end of the day, I am almost 45 years old. I was born and raised in America. So I experienced and seen the same racism that a lot of you millennials that are coming at me have seen. I'm here. I see it. I experience it. Is my family foundational? Not all of them. There are some that are Black American that were born here that married into our family. But what the fuck does that matter? At the end of the day, if I walk outside and you walk outside and a racist comes outside, they don't see me as Haitian and they're not going to see you as foundational Black American. So what is this hate that you guys are throwing my way? On my page, I love Black people. Period. I don't care where the fuck you were born. You Black, I love you. You are my people. You could be born in Canada, America, South America, the Caribbeans, and motherfucking Africa. You are Black, I love you, you are my people, and I will fight for my people. I'm trying real hard not to call you disrespectful motherfuckers out, because I don't know what the hell is going on. But stop coming at me like I am not Black. I'm Black. I was born Black, I live Black, I'm gonna die Black, and I'm gonna resurrect back Black. I'm leaving that shit in. Because I'm a goddess. Anywho, if you don't know who I am, let me reintroduce myself. My name is Goddess Mia, and I don't like when people come for me. Especially when I didn't do anything to y'all. Stay out of my comment section with that bullshit. I don't do hate. And if you watch my content, you know I don't do hate. The only people I don't like them for their choice in politics. And that is MAGA and Trumpers and all those motherfucking racists. I don't like racists. But stop coming at me with this junk, man. Y'all are starting to get on my nerves with it. Now, it's not all of y'all, but some of y'all are taking this a little too far. I love Black people. Full stop.
I just got off a panel that had a bunch of like anti-Black FBA people that said Haitians aren't Black, saying all Haitians eat cats and mud cookies, and you know, just being the typical white supremacist FBAs. And Haitians aren't allowed to use Black American vernacular and other things like that. And I was like, so who founded Chicago? And I said he was a Haitian, and they're like, nah, he wasn't Haitian. Haiti wasn't even founded at that point in time. Like, just denying a bunch of history just to say that a Haitian didn't find Chicago, right? I meant found. But it's funny that I say find. Someone literally thought that when I said a Haitian founded Chicago, they thought I meant a Haitian literally, like, walked and found Chicago. Like, what? Education system is literally failing these people. But then this guy tries to bring up this evidence to say a Haitian did not find Chicago or found Chicago, right? And literally within the thing itself, he says, okay, the person that founded Chicago was a settler in what would be Chicago. And then if he scrolled down, which he didn't for a reason, it said, yeah, this same person founded Chicago. We gotta start attacking these spaces and just straight up bombarding them with information and facts, because I'm not about to just let you guys talk straight bullshit out of your mouths without, proving what you're saying.
The reasons why I will never be a big fan of that FBA term was because of the way that I found the term. I think I first found out about the term in 2022, 2023, and how I found out about it was because back when I was in my community college, I knew this one guy who was from Nigeria, and he was a very interesting fellow. It was very clear that me and him were not on the same internet, and we got pretty close, but us being pretty close was me telling him that everything you're saying is wrong and it shouldn't be okay. The way I thought at that time was that if you are a black man going out into the world saying things like this, it's not okay. So I gotta help you with not saying that, right? And he did later tell me that, like, me being his friend did help him with the way that he thought because he was saying some wild things, okay? And I'd be like, no, you can't do that, okay? And we would have these very thoughtful conversations about, you know, blackness and being a Nigerian and being African American, right? But he was the person who introduced me to the term FBA. And I was like, on your side of the internet, I know it is weird as heck. So if you're using the term FBA, it can't be anything good, no shit. On the side of the internet that he was on, it was always fighting, and I think he was like a part of like what would be considered looks maxing. Like he really cared about his aesthetic in a really weird way. He once told me that white men were way more attractive than black men, and I was like, you really can't be saying that or even thinking that. Also, like, you're a Nigerian man, what? That guy was just so weird, but I just feel like if he was the person who told me about FBA, I'm like, nothing good at all could be coming from this at all, because the side of the internet you are on is very toxic and I just can't do it. I can't do it.
And the FBAs are so delusional that as soon as you don't agree with them and you're dark skinned as an African American, you're a tether. Now I'm cosplaying. Now I'm forcing my Chicago accent. Can you tell that to my ancestors that was enslaved in Mississippi? Or can you tell that to my great granddaddy who fled Tennessee with all of his siblings to Chicago because he unalived the white G-man that was trying to dangle them from trees? Or what about my grandparents that were Black Panthers? I'm not a tether, and I wasn't born on the continent of Africa. I just don't agree with your xenophobic bullshit, because the same people calling African people tethers and calling them African booty scratchers called me the same shit in 3rd grade because of my skin tone and my facial features. I'm sorry my great-great-grandmother did not get SA by the slave masters, I guess. I'm sorry that when you look at me, you're reminded of your West African roots. But I can't help that. I'm still African American, and I still disagree.
Yo,
What it is, fam? What's your name? Where you from, brother?
I'm from Florida, Palm Beach.
Okay. Talk to me, brother. What's going on?
I'm Haitian though, basically. All right, look, so check me out. When we got our independence, right? We went to multiple places and helped them get free too.
How? Where in America did you
You
go?
said where in America?
Mm-hmm. What fight in America
The
did you fight in?
Americas, or are you
What?
talking like just United States?
United States. What fight in the United States did you? I'm asking for Black Americans specifically. What did you do for us? What fight did you fight for us?
All right, so all right, you were saying the Black Seminoles and stuff like that. You feel
Uh-huh.
me? You do realize there was Haitians in that. I spoke to you about that too.
How many Haitians?
I'm not sure exactly how many,
So what are we talking
but
about?
they said give a specific number.
Okay, so you're saying he
But
came
he
with
came with
soldiers.
soldiers.
Hold on, because I read it, and I think you're lying because I read it 1,000 times. It didn't say nothing about him coming with a fleet. You know why he couldn't come with a fleet? Why couldn't he come with a fleet?
Why he couldn't?
Because
You're
he was
lying. Now
under
you're
this.
lying.
Well, hold on, because he was under the Spanish army. He didn't come over here as the Haitian savior. Haiti wasn't even freed yet. It was 1795 when he came over here. Y'all was still fighting. He got kicked out of Haiti, exiled, and had to go join
No,
his
he didn't
family.
get kicked.
Hold on, because you're telling half of the story, and this is the problem. And this is why we can't let y'all have nothing. Y'all don't tell the whole truth. He was exiled because in club. There was no soldier, was no army, sir. And he didn't even contribute to the Florida Seminole Wars. The Florida Seminole Wars started in 1817. This nigga got there in 1796, sir. He wasn't there for the start of it. And he wasn't no major component. We have been fighting down here in Florida since 1526. We've been revolting. So y'all ain't starting nothing here for us. We've been doing this. We're not new to it, bro. So stop trying to act like y'all just these heavy fighters.
Can I talk now?
So macho.
Came along with his wife, her mother, and siblings. It said he brought 17 of his former troops and their family members.
Okay. So,
That's what it says.
so that's about 18 niggas.
Yeah, but look. But at the same time, though, look,
So
he
brought,
got his own. They let him change his own
hold on.
initiative.
So So the whole Florida, the whole state of
Oh
Florida,
my God.
the black
Fam,
indigenous who was fighting,
that's in
the
it.
nigga
We in
only
it,
brought,
fam.
hold on, the nigga only brought over 18 niggas.
One of his peoples end
Nigga
up
sound like
marrying.
nigga brought a volleyball team.
Hi, so someone brought it to my attention. You know, I'm gonna strengthen my argument for you FBA folk. So if you are not African black, then stop saying that you are foundational to those who built America, who helped build America, because enslaved Africans, the African black people of African ancestry, are the ones that built America, helped build America. So if you are not a part of that group of enslaved African people, and you are not of African black ancestry, then I don't know what you are, but stop calling yourself African American. Stop claiming that you built America, because you are not a part of that group of people. Thank you.
If you're in an FBA or ADOS cult, you can do more with your time than having genealogical pissing contests. Y'all are right-wing black folks who have nothing because your history is actively being stripped from you, and your identity is wrapped into who your ancestors used to be, but not who you are. What do you have? What do you own? Please point me to the nearest FBA or ADOS hospice. Please point me to the nearest ADOS or FBA chain of grocery stores. Don't have that, huh? Are you housing our folk? Do y'all have ADOS, FBA farmland, condominium, apartment complex, a tent, something? Your divisiveness is your short-sightedness, because this black American understands that Pan-Africanism is what's going to get us liberated and free. Knowing that Malcolm X had Caribbean roots, Marcus Garvey had immigrant roots, W.E.B. Du Bois was buried in Ghana, and whether from Kwame Ture to Assata Shakur, the black radical tradition always stood behind the black diaspora as a whole. And oh, that red and black flag that a lot of y'all like to wear in your profile, not you, because you're probably a bot. My great uncle, Robert Bobby Stewart from Elizabeth, New Jersey, made the prototype for that. Genealogy, these
Black Americans have a very unique relationship with the identity of blackness. And many of you in the African diaspora globally don't truly understand why that is. The United States of America is the only country in the world where the native black population, which are Black Americans, those descendants of those formerly enslaved people, in this country have to live amongst every single person in the African diaspora. Every single black person from around the world is represented in America, lives in America, and can be American. So when you have a nation that is welcoming of all people, and in a couple of generations, you become Nigerian American, Sudanese American, Ghanaian American, what does that mean for the native black population that has been here since the 1600s, that has fought for their rights, fought for their representation, fought for their seat at the table? And without the fight of Black Americans, nobody else in the diaspora would be able to be here. There are Black Americans that actually did leave and fled America during slavery times. That went to Dominican Republic, Haiti, Panama, Canada, Liberia. There's a lot of Black Americans other places, but 99% of Black Americans are still in America. I'm actually a product of that, which is how my last name is Duncan, because my great-great-great-grandfather is a man that was from America and landed in Haiti. So when we get things like foundational Black American or ADOS, original descendants of slaves, in theory, these things make all the sense in the world. When you have a country where the foundational people of America are those original European settlers, those formerly enslaved Black Americans, and Native Americans are the only three groups that are foundational Americans, the waters get muddy when now Black people from the Caribbean, Black people from Africa are represented in spaces that Black Americans never have been. Congress, ownership, businesses, homes. And there's a lot of reasons why those of you from around the diaspora come to America, because a lot of people flee countries and they're looking for greater economic opportunities. And when you're not taught the history of America, you don't understand that Black Americans have consistently and continuously built their own institutions, built their own banks, built their own towns, built their own schools, built everything. And America has consistently burned it down. White people got jealous. White people didn't like it, so they burned down. That's how we have Tulsa. That's how we have Rosewood. That's how we have the slew of massacres that have occurred in America, where financial centers and the wealth of Black America has continuously been burned down and stripped of those people. Where it gets tricky is that as of late, a lot of the FBA movement online has presented itself using the same tactics and the same rhetoric and ideologies as white nationalism and white conservatism, and it gets dangerous. The talking points are extremely xenophobic. The language used, just the vitriol that's spewed out about immigrants and about those who aren't foundational Black Americans, it's kind of crazy. So when you have Black people who don't ascribe to that movement, who don't ascribe to that identity, as you guys called it, that ethnicity or marker, it is something where people from around the world don't understand how a few people in America are the loudest ones online. And in real life, you don't meet people in America who are like, I'm FBA. Like, you don't meet that. Guess where birthright citizenship came from? Us. Workplace discrimination, not being able to fire people based on sex, religion, gender, or color? Us. There's so many things Black people fought for that all Americans benefit from. But during this Black History Month, I think there's so much to be learned about one another. But I think the largest disconnect and the largest miscommunication that happens online is that we're all talking to each other, thinking that we understand each other's place and dispositions on certain things, like Blackness. And we try to flatten Blackness to make it mean one thing, where being Black in every country is different. Being Black around the world is different, and we all have unique experiences, unique cultures, and unique histories, and we need to uplift those cultures, histories, and experiences, because the more we talk about our differences as Black people, just the more we understand each other. Because right now, with all that's evident online, we do not truly understand each other, and I think we need to start attempting to understand each other. Much love.
What we are seeing right now isn't just a random online argument, it's a deeper identity conflict that has been bubbling for a long time inside the Black diaspora, and social media is just pouring gasoline on it. The term Foundational Black Americans, or FBA, started as a way for a specific group, Black Americans, who are descendants of enslaved people in the United States, to defy their lineage, history, and claim to be a unique cultural and political identity. On the surface, that is not a problem. Every group has the right to name themselves, understand their roots, and advocate for their interests. That part is filed. But where things start to get left is when identity turns into heritage. When it stops being, this is who we are, and start becoming, this makes us more legitimate than you. That is when the conversation shifts from self-definition into exclusion. And that is exactly what causes all this tension. Because now, instead of just acknowledging history, some people are using the label as a weapon. If you are Caribbean, Africa, or anything outside of that specific lineage, suddenly you are being labeled a Tida. Suddenly, your Blackness is being questioned. Suddenly, your experiences are being minimized, like racism checks your ancestry before it hits you. And that is where the frustration in what you are saying really comes from. Because let's be real, when you step outside, nobody is asking for your genealogy. Nobody is saying, wait, are you Haitian? Are you Nigeria? Are you FBA? That is not how racism works. It never has. What people see is your skin. What they respond to is your presence. And historically, that has been enough. So when someone who is Black, born and raised in America says they are experienced racism, and someone else tries to invalidate that because of lineage, that doesn't just feel wrong, it is wrong. At the same time, we also have to be honest about why this FBA identity even gained traction in the first place. A lot of it comes from a feeling of being overlooked. There are Black Americans whose families have been in this country for centuries, who went through slavery, Jim Crow, segregation, redlining, and they feel like their specific struggle get diluted when everything is grouped together under Black. They feel like immigration narrative sometimes gets more attention. They feel like policy don't always distinguish between descendants of slavery and more recent arrivals. And for them, FBA is a way of saying our history matters too. Our lineage matters too. That concern isn't crazy, it's rooted in real historical pain. But pain doesn't justify division, because what is happening now is that instead of building clarity, it's building hostility. Instead of educating, it's attacking. Instead of strengthening the community, it's fragmenting it. And social media makes it worse, because online people don't debate, they escalate. Someone disagrees with you and suddenly you are not just wrong, you are fake, you are cosplayer, you are forcing an accent, you are not really black. That kind of language is reckless, especially when it's being thrown at people who literally have family histories tied to the same oppression. Think about how wide that is. Someone can have ancestors who were enslaved, grandparents who were part of movements like the Black Panthers, family members who fled racial violence, and still be told they don't belong in the conversation. That is not about history anymore. That is how ego and that is about ego and control. And the TIDA level is a perfect example of how language gets weaponized. It's meant to reduce people, to box them in, to say you are not one of us. But the irony is, the same kind of exclusion has been used against black people for generations. So now we are just recycling that energy internally. And another layer to this is colorism and phenotype. Because let's not pretend that it's not part of the conversation. When someone says you look to Africa, or you remind people of their West African roots, there is a whole history behind that. For a long time, certain features were stigmatized even within the black community. So when people start throwing identity labels around, it's not just about nationality, it's also about appearance, proximity to certain features, and internalized ideas about what Americans' blackness is supposed to look like. That is a dangerous road, because now you are not just divided by lineage, you are dividing by looks. And once you go down that path, there is no clean way to draw the line. It just keeps getting messier. What makes this even more frustrating is that the same people who are arguing with each other online will probably agree on 90% of real-world issues: police brutality, economic inequality, representation, discrimination. These are shared concerns across the diaspora. But instead of focusing on those common struggles, energy is being spent on gatekeeping identity. And gatekeeping doesn't build power, it weakens it, because division is easy to exploit. History has shown that over and over again. The more fragmented a group is, the easier it is to ignore their collective voice. Now, that doesn't mean everyone has to think the same way. Disagreement is normal, debate is healthy, but there is a difference between disagreement and disrespect. You can say, I believe FBA identity is important for policy reasons, without saying you are not really black. You can advocate for your lineage without erasing someone else. And on the flip side, you can acknowledge the unique history of black Americans without feeling like it threatens your own identity as a Haitian American, Africa, or Caribbean person. Both things can exist at the same time, because identity isn't a competition. It's not a limited resources where validating one group takes something away from another. There is room for multiple histories, multiple perspectives, multiple experiences. The problem is when people start acting like there isn't. And let's talk about age for a second, because that matters too. When someone says, I'm almost 45, I have lived through this, that perspective carries weight. That is lived experience. That is decades of navigating the same society, the same systems, the same biases. For younger people to come online and try to dismiss that, or write someone else's identity based on internet definitions, that is part of the disconnect. A lot of this conversation is being shaped by people who are learning in real time, forming opinions quickly, and sometimes speaking with more certainty than understanding. And that is how things spiral. At the end of the day, what you are expressing is simple. You are black, you have lived as black, you have been treated as black, and you stand with the black people, period. That shouldn't be controversial, but in the current climate, even something that basic is getting challenged. So the real question is, what is the goal here? If the goal is awareness, then educate, don't attack. If the goal is policy, then organize, don't divide. If the goal is unity, then act like it. Because saying I love black people while tearing down other black people doesn't align. And that goes for everybody involved in this conversation on all sides. This moment could actually be an opportunity, a chance to have a deeper, more honest conversation about history, identity, and what solidarity really likes. But That only happens if people step back from the insult, the labels, and the need to win every argument. Because right now, a lot of people hasn't trying to understand. They are trying to dominate the narrative, and that is why it feels so toxic. At some point, there has to be a shift from who belongs to what are we building together, because if the answer to that question is nothing, then all this arguing is just noise. And if the answer is something meaningful, then it's going to require a lot of more listening, a lot of more respect, and a lot less division.
So, lovelies, if you have watched up to this extent, thank you so much for all the love and support. Please leave your own thought in the comment section of what you think, and I will see you, lovelies, when I upload the next one.